Greetings, folks. We are live, and this is a very special presentation report. Joe will be with us shortly. He is on the road, heading back home. We're going to see if he sees any strange UAP activity wise out there, possibly. I don't know. It's hard to say exactly what's going to happen. But we are glad you're here. What I need you to do, this is a very, very, like I said, a very special report. We're going to go over a lot of stuff tonight. It's not going to be your typical live. We are going to take your questions. Obviously, we're going to do all that like we always do. And we're going to try to keep up as best as we can. There's a lot to go over. Make sure right now that you hit that share button and get as many people in here as you possibly can. We want this room full because this is some good stuff. And we've been working on this we've been working on it since day one, actually, right as the news started to break. Of course, this is about the so-called, what are they calling it, Brandon? The pseudo alien invasion kind of thing. Is that what we're doing? So
the mock invasion,
yeah, that's kind of what they're calling it. I mean, there's a lot of people who do call it that, but I call it probably the biggest overreaction in the history of mankind. But that's just me. There are others who will see other things, but we're going to go over the actual timeline of the events and kind of discuss some things, take some views from you guys, some of your ideas, and address some of your theories and questions on this, because think of it as the press conference you're not getting. There you go. That's pretty much, I mean, wouldn't you agree, Brandon? Don't you think that's kind of what we're doing? It's kind of like the press conference they want, but they're not getting.
It's the one that we deserve.
There you go. Exactly. So, no, seriously, in an all due seriousness, we've been asked, and I have personally been asked from the day one of this to kind of, well, what do you think? What do you think's going on? And I have not said anything except for I need more data. I need more data. I need more data. Well, I think we have enough data now to draw a fairly decent conclusion as to possibly what's going on. So we're going to eventually look at some scenarios toward the end of this. And I want to hop over here in the room right now and start giving some shouts out to some people. We've got Spooky Appalachia over here. Hey, guys, how's it going? And we've got the Dooster. He's back. Hey, Dewey, good to have you. And we are going to start talking, I think. And where should we start, Brandon? Right from, let's mention the balloon, obviously. We all know that, the U.S. shot down a spy balloon that traversed the country, and it caused a big fuss, right?
Yep.
And what happened immediately after that, Brandon?
Oh, immediately after that, they started seeing weird stuff left and right.
Yeah, weird stuff starts popping up. And what do we do immediately?
Well, start shooting them down, the
start
American style.
Man,
$500,000 rockets blasting them right out of the sky.
Right. Thank you. $500,000 rockets, Sidewinders, correct?
Yep.
F-22s, 2 of them at least per. Well, not all of these were taken down by F-22. I believe the one later was be taken down over with the F-16, the Vipers. But F-22s, these things cost a lot of money to fly. Am I correct on that? Right?
Yep. Yeah. It's a lot of fuel.
It's a lot of fuel, but not the point. We had just had a spy balloon fly over. We had to go up and see what these things were, and so be it. We did. And so the story goes that on Thursday, February 9th, a F-35 fighter was sent up to investigate these objects that first appeared on Thursday night. That was February 9th. And again on Friday morning. They cited these as unmanned. U.S. military officials told CNN at the time that the pilot's investigation provided, quote, limited information about the object, with some reports claiming the object had interfered with sensors on their fighter aircraft.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sounds like another balloon. Sounds like they shot it down and everything's good, right?
Yep.
I mean, it sounds perfectly normal. How do we find out about this, Brandon?
We found out about this because of leaks. They didn't actually come out and say a lot of this stuff.
Well, what's hilarious is as soon as they down this thing, I guess people start talking, and then there's a press conference almost immediately that day. And during the press conference, a couple of reporters asked the question, basically, what are these things? What did you shoot down? Is it another balloon? They kept saying it's not a balloon. It's not a balloon. Halfway through the press conference, I'm watching the press conference, and I'm also at the same time with these multiple windows open, and I just happened to catch this little gem, and I love it. New York Daily News just jumped the shark and won the game as far as headlines started. And I made a prediction at that point. I said, get ready for the craziest headlines you've ever seen. That was over on our group, and I did not lie. I think history has proven that out at this point, because they only got better.
Definitely the best headline of the year I've seen so far.
They only got better after this. I'm going to take some comments out here. Let's see what we've got. It's Cryptic Out Here podcast. Love you guys. Hey, great to have you with us. Thank you so much for coming, and thanks for those kind words. And yes, right back at you.
Welcome.
Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and pop that up here so everybody can see. Go over there, drop them a listen, guys, and spread the love right back.
And Spooky too. Don't forget Spooky.
I'm trying to find Spooky. Spooky's here. Here we are. There's Spooky. There's Spooky Appalachia. Everybody go over there and do the same for Spooky Appalachia. Incredible stuff. Really good stuff to listen to, and so forth.
And Dewey's got some pretty good books out there too.
And Dewey has a lot of very good books out there. Let's go back over here now to this. All right. So now let's move ahead to that Friday, when the press conference and so forth actually happened. Mm-hmm. The Federal Aviation Administration restricted flights roughly over a 10 square mile area within the U.S. airspace.
Yep.
Now, a lot of people saw this, and they were watching this as it happened over on Twitter and on, I believe, TikTok. They were actually posting some video from some of the ground tracking and flight tracking software. And there was some overreactions from people and some hype trying to get clicks, but there was some good stuff in there too. And we were watching a little bit of the good stuff, but apparently 10 square miles area within the U.S. airspace of Alaska was closed down. It was Bullen Point is where it was, the site of a disused U.S. Air Force radar station on the Beaufort Sea, about 100 miles from the Canadian border. The Pentagon press secretary, Air Force Brigadier General Pat Ryder, confirmed the object was dispatched by 2 F-22 fighters within U.S. Northern Command, flying out of joint-based Elmendorf, that fired an A-9X, that's a Sidewinder, at the object, which thereafter fell into U.S. territorial waters. We need to pay attention to what I just said there, okay? It fell into U.S. territorial waters. At this point, we don't know the origin of the object, Ryder said on Friday. Ryder confirmed that the object had been detected by ground radar stations and was thereafter shot down following orders from the president at 1:45 p.m. Eastern Time. A press conference was scheduled to be held shortly after, and that is how we found out about what everything was going on. Now, the reasons. The decision was made to take this object down because it was in the 40,000 foot range and presented a threat to civilian air traffic. An unknown object came down in an area with harsh weather conditions, and the crash retrieval had already begun. That's what they told us at the press conference. And that was on February 10th. So a crash retrieval unit was already on the way, right?
Yep.
So we should have some evidence at this point, right? Or at least something. At least within the next couple of days. Yeah. So in the press conference, the Pentagon declined to provide a more precise description of the objects, only saying that the U.S. pilots who flew up to observe it determined it didn't appear to be manned. This was based on the object's size. It was the size of a small car. The Pentagon did not know yet where it came from or what its purpose was. However, they decided to blow it out of the sky. Okay.
Sounds pretty what's the term? Trigger happy to shoot
Trigger
something.
happy would be the word
that
I'd
is.
use. Yes, Brandon, I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. So after they made this decision to blow this thing out of the sky and retrieve the parts from it, they started getting some weird chatter back, right, from some of the pilots and the sources. So the description goes on to say that, well, the object was estimated to be roughly the size of a small automobile and was not similar in size and shape to the Chinese balloon.
Mm-hmm.
No indication of maneuverability, no indication the object was manned in a manned aircraft. It came inside our territorial waters. The object displayed no means of propulsion. Reportedly, it hovered over U.S. airspace in Alaska for several hours and was described as cylindrical and silverish gray by one official speaking with ABC News. So
sounds a bit like a Tic Tac.
And by the end of the evening, that's where we were. So around 3 o'clock, we knew that they had shot down something. And by the end of the night, we had this description that had just came up. At this point, one starts to wonder, what exactly did we shoot down? Former congressman, he wondered, hey, did we shoot down an alien UFO? And everyone starts to laugh, except us. We didn't laugh at that, did we?
Yep.
Let's see. I'm going to go over to take a few more of these. Joe's not here right now, so he's usually watching the chats as I'm rolling through the other things here. So, guys, if you talk, no, I will eventually get to you. So, yes, greetings from where we at here. Here we go. Sorry, there it is. That's Dewey. Greeting the Mothman cam there.
So, Mothman, I just want to know, what do you think of all this?
Yeah, I'd like to know what's your take on this? I mean, Mothman, what would have happened if we would have tried this back in the day, guys? Come on.
Mothman would have just been a explosion of feathers in the sky.
Right. I mean, I'm just saying, these are things. Okay, let's see. Go back over here. All right. Where are we at now? We're at Saturday, February 11th. So details were released, but they were very sparse. And they included these quotes. And I'm going to go ahead and put these out for you guys. U.S. military pilots sent up to examine the object gave conflicting accounts of what they saw, which is part of the reason why the Pentagon has been cautious in describing what the object actually is, according to a source briefed on the intelligence. So they had conflicting accounts of what they were seeing. Now, Brandon, didn't we just talk about something very similar to this a few weeks ago in our Contact series?
Mm-hmm. Yep. A lot of UFO witnesses, even two people who see the same thing, give a different description a lot of the times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, we talked about, I believe it was Nolan who had the case study from France that said, the lady had seen or claimed to have seen this massive saucer over their vehicle. And then when someone in the car went to take a picture, they didn't see anything. But when they went to take a picture, they saw a little sphere that was over top of the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Not a giant ship like she was reporting. So, and it kind of goes into that whole, camouflage kind of thing, right? I mean, appears to be something that isn't. I mean, it's a possibility. Let's just throw that out there. But NORAD detected another object over Alaska. And two American F-22s again began tracking it. Now, on Saturday, this UFO drifted into Canadian airspace, and the F-22s were joined by two Canadian aircraft. On Saturday, the North American Aero Defense Command said it was monitoring a high-altitude airborne object
Mm-hmm.
that was over northern Canada. The military aircraft were currently operating in the area from Alaska to Canada, according to a news release from the agency. And an F-22 fighter downed yet another object on Saturday over Yukon Territory, borders Alaska. The object was, which a Canadian official described, was cylindrical and smaller than a spy balloon, and was picked up on radar late Friday as it passed over Alaska. So
Isn't that the one they also said was smaller than a car?
Yeah, this one was smaller than the first one, which the first one was about the size of a small car. This one was smaller than that.
Yeah, a lot of military drones are about the size of a car.
Oh yeah, they're big. Those things are huge. I mean,
Yeah.
We've got one that flies around here every now and again that they're testing, from what I understand, and that thing it's big, dude. It's big. It's like a small car.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's Chris. Hey, Chris. Glad you can make it. Anyway, so at this point, we've shot down a balloon. If you're keeping score, we've shot down a balloon, and we shot down a unknown number one, and we shot down another unknown number two at this point, right?
Yep.
And now it's starting to get really weird. There's this uneasy weirdness that people are starting to feel, and there are things starting to pop up online at this point. And then you're looking for these sources, because we were trying to stay away from the conspiratorial sources, but we were still trying to find reputable sources. In time, some of these reputable sources started sounding more conspiratorial than actual what you would think. So it was at that point that we realized, well, there's something clearly going on here. And then the terminology changes. There's a terminology change that starts saying UFOs, and that becomes a term that we start to hear a lot, actually. And
yeah, it's funny to me that they didn't go with UAP, because that's what the government's been using since 2017.
Yeah, and
why are they reviving that?
Right. So the only thing I can think of, the literal only thing that I can think of, is that we know that the definition of UAP is unidentified aerial phenomena. And we've talked about this before. That's an aerial phenomena. That's a light. That's it could be something, could be anything, right? But we've also said that craft don't fall into the phenomena category. They fall into the old UFO category, the one that they don't want us to actually.
Phenomenon would be more like like the Marfa lights, or the ones that happen in Michigan. I forget where it is up there. Like odd things like that could be
like the Brown Mountain lights and Marfa lights. Yeah, that would be a phenomenon. That'd be a UAP to me. Yes, absolutely. Yep. I agree with you, Brandon. And a lot of times that's what some of these things are. Pabs here. Welcome, Pabs.
Oh, Pabs
got caught up in the wasteland playing Fallout. That's a good thing. That's awesome. It's my people. But okay, so where are we at? Oh, yep, right here.
Oh, got Bigfoot Society too now.
Bigfoot Society, welcome. Joe's out chasing down UFOs. He's trying to bring down some of this wreckage for us, and because someone's got to. No, he's actually heading back home from work, and he'll be joining us here shortly.
I thought he was staring at the sky like a turkey in a rainstorm.
He could be doing that too. He really could be. I don't know. Man, it is raining too, by the way. Yeah, I was really worried that we were going to be doing this because the internet went out slightly before this, and I'm like, oh, it's conspiracy. But let's go back up to where are we at, Brandon? Was it February? Oh yeah, that's right. woke to the great news that now it's happening over the countries. So China reported their own unidentified flying object, and they were preparing to shoot it down. Did you ever find out anything about this? Because I never heard anything other than they were telling local people to, be on the lookout for debris and whatnot. Was this real, or was this just a political chess move, so to speak?
I haven't seen anything else or any footage. It's kind of like that story about Russia shooting down a UFO a few months back.
There you go. That came out and it completely disappeared, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly enough, there was an incident that we didn't get the placards up here for, but it was right before all this crazy balloon nonsense started. That was when Putin was over there rallying up his people, and it was during the anniversary of a battle, and he was running his mouth about, he was going to nuke everyone, and blah blah blah, and then all this started. I'm just going to throw that out there because I think that's kind of interesting, and it needs to be on the table while we're examining everything here, and that's what we're doing. We're just examining all the evidence. We're going to let you guys make up your decision in the end, but we're examining all the evidence.
I'm trying to like
So
connect dots from
yeah,
things that have been going on for years
yeah,
to
bring your
see if
own
we can
yarn and your
correlate.
own stick pins and your own wall to stick them in and pictures. But yes, we're going to give you the data, and then we are going to have fun, and we are going to talk about some theories and speculations toward the end.
Yep.
Um, let's see. Smoke and mirrors, Dewey says. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very well
It's a
could
big
be, my friend. Very well could be. The sky has been busy. The sky has been very busy.
mirror. The sky is falling.
Right, right. I mean, this is
It
the
literally
chicken
could
little
be right
thing.
now.
It may be, right? I mean, I wonder how much a piece of a UAP goes for these days on eBay. Anyway, all right. So let's go to
Be some
Sunday.
metamaterial.
Right, exactly. Let's go to Sunday. This would be February 12th. I am not home, by the way. I'm on the road this past weekend, and it seems like every time I'm on the road, the crazy stuff happens, and I can't be at the computer and do screenshots. So I have to do it on a phone and then save all these links. And we're just having these massive conversations over on Messenger, and other people are messaging me these links, and I'm trying to make sure I have them to where I can do this later because I know what I have to do. Sunday. So this is when China announced that its own this thing, whatever it was, you know. Early Sunday, another unidentified flying object was reportedly spotted over the northern waters close to the China Boe Sea in an odd turn of events mirroring those that have occurred over U.S. and Canadian airspace in recent days. Local authorities reportedly said they were prepared to shoot the object down. Okay. So 3:41 p.m. Eastern, as with the Friday night UFO, we still don't know what it was that was shot down on Saturday. Let's see. Biden and Trudeau, they discussed the importance of recovering the object because it's kind of important, in order to determine more detail on its purpose or origin, according to the White House. Well, they did that on day one at the press conference. I don't know why that was even news again. I have no clue. The quote was, "We have no further detail about the object at this time, including any description of its capabilities, purpose, or origin." And said, though adding that it, quote, "appears to be a small cylindrical object and smaller than the Chinese balloon shot down off the coast of South Carolina last week."
Yep.
Well, okay. So is it a balloon? That's what our natural question is, right? So on Sunday morning, a senior U.S. official who spoke with Fox News characterized this object shot down over Canada as a, quote, "small metallic balloon with a tethered payload, the origins of which remained undetermined." Okay. So now we've moved from, well, watch this game because it is a game. Dewey's right about the smoke and mirror thing. Watch this. We went from an unknown to UFOs, right? UFOs. You see this? UFOs. This is the okay. And then are you reading that?
Yep.
NORAD has issued a statement Saturday saying it detected a radar anomaly and sent fighters, aircraft to investigate. Those aircraft did not identify any object to correlate to the radar hits. NORAD will continue to monitor the situation, and the statement continues. But they went up and they expected to find this balloon, and no balloon, nothing, not there.
Yeah, like I didn't know balloons could just disappear like that.
It's gone.
Boom.
Well, they have a clever cover story for that later. So,
Wait, is it going to be like the things over Michigan where they said it was a weather phenomenon that caused it?
Could be, that's the whole point. Luis Elizondo spoke up, and so did Giorgio, which is hilarious. Luis made it perfectly clear. This is one of the primary reasons I resigned from the Pentagon in 2017. No one was paying attention. Thanks to new legislation, we're now better prepared to monitor our skies. Keep in mind, though, the more we look up, the more we're going to see. And boy, was he right. Giorgio, the same thing. Some raised the great question today. What if the two objects shot down by the U.S. Air Force over the past 48 hours are crewed craft or uncrewed probes of ET origin? Could the sender consider this an act of war? It's unlikely. Why declare war on a species with zero firepower against you? That is a brilliant question, actually. That is a very brilliant question.
That's kind of like if a monkey threw a rock at an airplane, will we declare war on monkeys?
Right. No, it really, it's a brilliant question because you're assuming that you're dealing with a higher intelligent species, right? So why in the world would, there's got to be a reason. So there would have to be something there that they would want or whatnot. But I don't see that. That's not what we had. We don't have these objects zipping around and taking down planes for us to warrant. It's not ID4. I mean, my God, even in Independence Day, we sent up a peace envoy to try to communicate with the aliens and didn't get hostile with them until they blew their helicopter out of the sky, if you remember that.
It reminds me of Lazar talking about that recovery crew who would bring in craft for them to disassemble and stuff.
Well, that's kind of reminiscent of the old, what were they called? The Blue Beret, I think, was the mythos on that, is what the trash retrieval crews were called back in the day, if I remember correctly. What Pab say? It's a UFO until they recover the wreckage, unless they don't want you to know what they blew up. And yeah, that's absolutely correct. I agree with that 100%. Doug Dodgers. So we believe that life forms from other planets have visited the Earth. Is that a correct assessment? Now, that is a very good question, my friend. It would appear that some people do, in fact, think that is a possibility. And it kind of frightens them, I think. And they're not really prepared to really say too much more than that, I don't think. I think that's what we're kind of looking at. But we get.
I really don't think we can rule it out yet either.
We absolutely cannot rule it out. No. But you're going to see what happens here in this game that's happening. Keep in mind what we're showing you, the evidence of. It seems like we're going back and forth, but that's exactly what they did. They went back and forth. If you paid attention, it was a teeter-totter. It's a UFO. It's a balloon. It's teeter-totter. That's what they were doing. And, just to give you an idea, let's see what Luis says there. Wise words once said, keep calm and carry on. We can't allow hysterics to drive our decision-making process.
Yep,
far too late, as evidenced by Tim McMillan's post right below it. U.S.-led war against balloons and UFOs continues. Less than an hour ago, NOTAM was issued for parts of Lake Michigan, with areas being restricted as national defense airspace. They eventually lifted that, but we come to find out what happened, Brandon.
Another craft was shot down.
So that was a pretty busy, and they can't find it, of course, because it went down in deep water, guys. It went down in deep water. The first one went down on what was it, remote ice sea, which is almost impossible to get to. The next one, where did it go down at?
Lake Huron?
Yeah.
Right, the one over, are you talking about the one over Canada?
Yes.
Yep.
Did they ever say where exactly that thing went down? Why we can't get it? Why can't we get to it? It seems like it didn't have any great.
I can't remember, but I think they said it was weather related too.
Oh, of course it's weather related. Of course. So anyway, the NOTAM was issued. And they closed the airspace. That was on Sunday. And it was not immediately clear what was going on. But at 2:42 p.m. Eastern Time, an F-16 Viper launched a heat-seeking AIM-9 missile again. How many thousand? What'd you say that was? $500,000?
It's like $500,000, yeah.
Like a $500,000 missile? So there we go again. At an unidentified object flying at around 20,000 feet over the Great Lakes. The UFO shot down over Lake Huron off Michigan. The object, which was flying at 20,000 feet, had an octagon structure with what they described in this report as strings hanging off, but had no discernible payload. Now, what's weird is later on, the pilot doesn't describe it like that. He says it had appendages coming off of it. So he didn't say strings. He said it was string-like appendages. So the words started to get twisted at this point, right? So now we set up that.
Appendage, is he like referring to it kind of like a jellyfish?
I don't know. I don't know. Arms, like, but the best part about it, when he said appendages or string-like appendages, that was enough for this to happen. That's all that matters, because now we're talking about balloons, obviously, right? It was balloon-like. So what exactly was balloon-like about this thing? It was floating, hovering.
Yeah, it said it was hovering at 40 miles an hour, which should be entirely too slow for anything to stay in flight, unless it is a balloon of some kind, but they already said it wasn't.
Yeah, Fab's Corner. Yeah, 6 feet is deep water for the Air Force. Yeah, that's right. And I'm pretty sure that the Navy wasn't involved in this retrieval operation, obviously.
Yeah, I don't think they were.
You know, I don't know. I honestly don't know.
One of them.
They all go down in weird places. Yes.
The second one, I think Canada was actually supposed to retrieve that one.
Dewey wants to know what altitude is required for an EMP to be effective. I believe that it has to be at least a mile or a half a mile, Dewey. I'm not going to, don't quote me on that, but something tells me that that's where the maximum is. And I can't say any more than that because, you know, I won't give anybody ideas. But it's something around in that area, I believe.
It's funny to me that they opted to shoot down the last three in places where people wouldn't be able to record it after the Chinese balloon was recorded and went viral.
Yeah. So now it's balloons again. So let's keep up with the game, right? We're at balloons. Back to balloons. We've been UFO, balloon, UFO. Now we're back to balloons again. Okay.
You guys got your bingo cards ready?
Yeah, because it's going to get crazy. Bingo, so. I'm just going to tell you, before Joe gets back here, it's going to get crazy, all right? So now it's officially balloons. The latest two aerial objects shot down by the U.S. were balloons. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said Sunday, as Canada reportedly suspects one of them was a spy balloon from China or Russia. Ooh, scary.
Big bad guys. Ooh.
Scary stuff here. Now we're really grasping for straws because honestly, we really secretly didn't know what they were. But all of a sudden now we know what they are. It makes sense.
Even though we haven't found them.
We don't have a clue because we don't have a piece of it. But obviously it's from China or Russia because, you know, everything else is insane. During an appearance on ABC's This Week, the New York Democrat said he was briefed on the incident by National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan on Saturday night. When asked point blank by host George Stephanopoulos if the object shot down on Friday and Saturday were balloons, Schumer acknowledged that's what he was told. Doesn't say that's what it is. That's what I was told. They believe they were, is his quote, but much smaller than the other one. A Canadian government official told Toronto Globe and Mail on Saturday that the object was believed to be a Chinese or Russian surveillance balloon. So that's where it came from. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau wouldn't discuss the nature or purpose of the object while speaking with reporters Sunday, saying only, there is still much to know about it. Well, what's to know about it? You just told us it was a Chinese-Russian hybrid balloon.
What it is it sounds like they're too scared to give too much details.
Right.
They've probably already been told.
Oh, yeah, and the easy answer is balloon. And let's pick, enemy of our choice. So by Sunday night, balloons were questioned once more. And this questioning came from a pretty high source. Let me find it for you. Let's see. Yeah, this is the takedown spot there. Show you that. See, notice the headline there at the bottom. You see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you read that? A suspected Chinese spy balloon was shot down over Alaska on Friday. So now they're saying that the very first one was a spy balloon from China also. Do you see that?
Yep.
Okay. Now, it gets interesting because we've gone from balloons to this stuff in there as well. We're calling them objects, not balloons, for a reason. Pentagon refuses to rule out that the objects flying over the U.S. are aliens or extraterrestrial after third UFO is shot down after flying near sensitive military sites. What? You just said they're balloons. How can you be so sure? Well, one of the pilots reported that the UFO shot down in Canada interfered with his plane's sensors and instrumentation. Other pilots went on to say that it did not look like a balloon, that there were no visible means of propulsion, that it had no flight surfaces. They didn't understand how it could possibly fly. It had a cylindrical shape, and it incredibly shattered into pieces when they shot at it. That sounds like a tic-tac UFO to me. Stay tuned. Yeah. So, what did I tell you when they couldn't find the first bit of wreckage for this thing?
You know, after that came out, I started seeing people post old stories and old quotes from people on Twitter saying from a long time ago that some people have theorized that if they are extraterrestrial, that maybe they've been wanting us to shoot them down a long time to prove our capabilities.
Back to Wild and Weird Radio Live.
Hey,
you're late. Just we don't even care. So,
did you see anything?
Yeah, we told everybody you're out looking for UFOs. Did you find any?
I wish.
Oh, okay. So, just like the government, guys, Joe has failed
Coming
his
up
mission
empty-handed
as well.
He also got a bad excuse.
Yeah, that's a very bad excuse. I mean, I don't know. Don's here. Looks like Don's here. Hey, Don. What do you got? Hang on a sec. I'm trying to pull these in. Could it be we were able to take them down simply because they're unmanned? Also, if the object was the size of 3 buses, that leads me to believe there's room on board for, a party. Well, the only one that was the size of 3 buses, Don, was the actual real balloon. These things were small. So, but you do have a good point as far as them being unmanned.
Because the other craft were mentioned to be the size of a small car. So think like a smart car, something like that.
Yes, and one of those was actually a lot smaller than that. So that's the weird part about this whole thing.
Yeah, wasn't it like a 55-gallon drum, basically?
Yes, 55-gallon drum. That is the exact words. Yes, 55-gallon drum. Thank you.
Hey, maybe an alien shot that Tesla back into orbit that Elon Musk sent into space a while back.
It could have. It could have. Yeah, it's the Roadster. Joe, take over the whatever desk, the comment desk. Yes, and I'm going to try to stay on top of this. This has been
Deuster, my dude.
There,
Doug Dodger.
The wild man has appeared. That's right.
Yes, absolutely.
Alien drones. Now, what he says with alien drones, we've actually had this conversation. Have you guys mentioned that yet on this?
We were just getting into talking about some of the possibilities. I know Brandon had just said, the whole poking the defenses kind of thing, that they're poking the bear back, so to speak. And that kind of alludes to the possibility that it would be a drone. You wouldn't send a manned anything, right? I mean, I wouldn't.
No.
So it
not for probing reasons.
No, makes perfect sense to me. So are they testing our defenses and how we react to things? We're going to talk more about that in the speculation section. So definitely hold on to those thoughts and get your own thoughts and opinions ready, because we're laying it all on the table tonight, guys.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be speculation time.
Oh boy, is it?
It's gonna
boy. So we're at balloons, right? I'm trying to keep up with this. But by Sunday night, balloons are questioned once more, according to a Time article. This one blew us away. General Glenn Van Herk, commander of the U.S. Northern Command, and the Northern American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, says, other than the first balloon, which China has acknowledged was theirs, the Pentagon doesn't yet know what the objects are or where they came from. Asked directly, a senior military official did not rule out the possibility that their provenance could be extraterrestrial. He said, I'll let the intel community and the counterintelligence community figure that out. General Glenn Vanner, commander of Northern Air Defense Command. So basically, he says this in his final quote, I haven't ruled out anything. And said, when asked if aliens could be involved, at this point, we continue to assess every threat or potential threat unknown that approaches North America with an attempt to identify it. Now, we had the NATO commander right here, General Van Herk, right there, making a statement like that. What? We went from balloons back to aliens, guys, is what I'm getting.
In one conversation.
Within 12 hours.
What? No, it went from balloons back to aliens in that conversation.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It did, yes.
Like, it was...
He shot it down. He shot the balloon theory down.
Right. So, when we're looking at this stuff from a perspective of, you know, everybody's reporting balloons, everybody's reporting objects. They're calling them objects. Have you touched that?
Well, we started at objects, then we turned it into balloons. Then objects. Wait, it was objects, UFOs, balloons, and we just went back to UFOs, I believe. If you're trying to keep up with this, it is an absolute mind twist.
It is. I mean, you're on a roller coaster that's just doing loop to loop to loops, and
it was so much easier with Roswell.
Right?
You know, it's a flying saucer, and the next day, nope, it was just a weather balloon. And they left it at that. They left it there for years. But this time, nope, it's a balloon. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. No, it isn't. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's insane. And the funny thing is, the only people who are really freaking out about it are them. We're in Monday, February 13th now, Joe, on the timeline.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Okay, cool. That's where we're at. So you go ahead.
So after the press and media began to label these unknown objects and calling them, taking it from balloons rather than being the ET nature, national security officials on Sunday discounted the possibility that the objects shot down over the weekend might have extraterrestrial origin. However, General Van Herk, the commander of the Air Force's Northern Air Command, said during his news conference, I haven't ruled out anything, just like we just mentioned. And anybody who watched that press briefing, I know I was on there. Keller Lindsay sent me the link, and I immediately threw it up over on Wild and Weird Talk, and I was watching it in real time and listening to him speak. He was pretty direct on what was going on. He was pretty. He wasn't really dodging questions. There was only a couple questions that he dodged, and then at the very end of this press briefing, everything, the whole thing turned on its head, because essentially he was asked if we were able to shoot down UAPs. Since we're shooting these things down, does that mean we have the capacity to shoot down UAPs? At which point he shuddered, like he went like, oh no, like that. If you watched it, if you go back, you can go back and check it. He said, we don't have the capacity to catch those things. He said it's a blink and you miss it kind of scenario, and they're just we can't keep up. Talking about the UAPs that we've definitely not identified and definitely not shot at, because again, he verified
literally what he
very
said,
matter of factly that we can't.
Right there, he literally says it right there. It is. He actually said they have not been able to shoot down prior UAPs because we might just have but a fleeting moment to see them. So Yeah, I mean, they admitted right there that there's something else, right? So to answer that question, yeah, but
Pabs is saying he was probably thinking he'd rather talk everyone about aliens and the possibility of escalating tensions with a hostile power, possibly.
maybe it's very possible. It's very possible.
And then Adam Good said, so we have the military press saying that the UAPs messed with the pilots' planes, but the pilots would not talk directly to the media. Who's the spin doctor? Well, coming from a former military position, we as servicemen, like the pilots, now commanders or people who are specifically their job, they're down in ops, they're or personnel, and they're down at the command center. Those guys have designated media personnel that go out and speak on behalf of and things of that nature. We don't actually go out and talk on camera. If we do, because people are goofy, just we're not trained in how to necessarily be super covert, like not the average person anyway. We could go out there and we could say something that could jeopardize operational security, not necessarily national security, but OPSEC.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't want anybody doing that by accident, because it could be something that we just off the cuff mention, because it's something that we would talk about peer to peer, but it's not something that the general public or necessarily anybody else could be watching needs to hear. So
yeah, you remember how much they had the nuclear bomb test?
What is it?
Remember how much they had the nuclear bomb test locked down?
Right.
That way it went out to the public.
So it's not necessarily that there's a gag order on us. It's just it's not our job. It's not within our wheelhouse to go speak just because they don't want us to screw anything up. Then Deucer says, kind of like the Mantell incident in 1948 near Franklin, Kentucky, where Operation Skyhook weather balloon outran a P-51 Mustang at speeds of over 500 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then they, blame Mantell after he's dead that he was obviously just chasing Venus and it was pilot error. Because, dead man can't defend themselves. Right? Yeah, it wasn't Venus. Let's be real. That's an entirely different... A very long story. I'd suggest if you are interested in it, you don't know about it, look up the Thomas Mantell incident. It's it'll make you think. It'll make you really think. Let's see where we at. Kirby. Oh yeah, when Kirby comes back out and he announces a few more things, he says the president ordered an interagency team to study aerial objects that could pose a safety risk or security risk. Van Herk said that the U.S. This is how they say it happened. This is why these things started showing up. Van Herk said that the U.S. adjusted its radar so it could track slower objects, which with some adjustments, we've been able to get a better categorization of radar tracks now. He said that's why I think you're seeing these. Plus, there's a heightened alert to look for this information after the balloon. Let's see. He added, I believe this is the first time within the United States of American airspace that NORAD or the United States Northern Command has taken kinetic action against an airborne object. Asked if officials have ruled out extraterrestrials. Again, Van Herk says, I haven't ruled out anything at this point. So he's sticking to that gun. He's not changing his mind on this, guys.
They backtracked again.
So he backtracks again. And here's this, there's this one side that seems very adamant that they're not willing to give up on the possibility that this could be something unknown. Good for them. They're the ones who actually seem to have a brain.
Tyler says, why would the Chinese and Russia use spy balloons in the first place? Would their satellites not do the same thing without causing conflict between the nations? Well, that's one way to look at it, but it depends on how sophisticated their satellites are as to how good of a picture they can get.
They're pretty good. Let's not forget, Russia's the first satellite that got a picture of Area 51.
That's true. But sometimes, specifically, certain military installations run equipment that can jam the appearance, right?
Yeah, I remember over a decade ago that supposedly we had satellites that were good enough to see
License plates.
Are you guys there?
Yeah, you
Yeah, we can hear
started
you.
to freeze. You're okay.
Sorry, I was glitching out bad again. I was
Oh,
going
good.
to say, I remember when like 15 years ago when I was in high school, that the military had satellites that supposedly could read the face of a dime from space.
We've heard that.
Yeah, I've heard that. I haven't I haven't heard like the face of a dime necessarily, but I mean I've seen pictures of license plates.
Mm-hmm.
But
Wow.
the
Mm-hmm.
thing is, we can run these certain signals to jam some of those, so that way they can't necessarily see exactly what they're trying to see.
Oh, radar spoofing.
Right. So
that's what you're trying to. Yeah,
they-
radar spoofing.
right, but they might be flying underneath that signal. That's where the balloons could come into effect. Now, I do think
Possible.
that yes, it's cryptic out there. Joe is alive. Ha ha. I have survived. But I think that would be the only thing that would make sense as to why they're flying balloons. Otherwise, I think it's really goofy.
No, absolutely. This whole balloon discussion is, to me, whatever. But it's okay, guys, because it's balloons. Obviously, it's not aliens, right?
Balloons. Swamp gas is next, guys.
Yeah, right. And I think Giorgio nailed that very well during
this one.
the press conference. Yeah. This was when they were trying to say they're not aliens. This has nothing to do with aliens, guys. But look at our hands. I mean, really? Seriously?
This is like the intergalactic sign for aliens.
It
in
is
case anybody's
aliens.
missing it.
Yeah. I mean, okay. If you say it's not aliens and you're going to do that, come on. Let's be real here. It's a joke. It's a joke. Marco Rubio. The last 72 hours revealed to the public what has been happening for years. Unidentified aircraft routinely operating over restricted U.S. airspace. This is why I pushed to take this seriously and created a permanent UAP task force 2 years ago. Well, you would think that that's exactly why they created the UAP task force, wouldn't you?
One would assume.
One would assume. However, in a briefing, White House press secretary, Karen Jean-Pierre, said there is no evidence that the objects are extraterrestrial nature, while using her little, the international Giorgio alien sign. Kirby also stressed that, that there was no need for the American people to worry about aliens with these objects. The American people are not worried. Let me explain this to you for just 1 second. If there's one person here, right here in our chat, there's 17 people listening. Out of 17 of you, is there one of you? Chime in right now and tell me, are you worried? Even if this is aliens, are you worried?
I mean, kinda. Like, I'm not like shaking in my boots worried, but
they think you are. They think it's going to collapse your whole view on society.
Right.
You're not going to go to work tomorrow. You're not going to make money to, pay for things.
I mean, maybe if you're one of those people who believe there are demons in the sky.
That's later. That's later.
So Pab says, I think they were using the balloons because they weren't looking for them, and we started looking and found a bunch of other things. Yeah, I mean that's also very true because we were dialing out certain objects.
Now, don't get me wrong. Some of those UAP, those are balloons, guys.
Yeah,
no
that's a good
doubt.
Point.
They are balloons.
Remember that guy in Michigan back in '95? He worked for the Weather Bureau, and his radar was picking them up, but the military said they couldn't see them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Deuster says concerned. Like, I'm right there with you. I'm more concerned. I'm not necessarily worried. I'm concerned because like it could be like and here's why I'm concerned. This is why I'm concerned. Okay. Smallpox, with, the Europeans coming over and introducing themselves so lovingly with blankets to the First Nations people.
Yeah.
That could happen. I mean, it's a real concern. That's why it concerns me. Pat says,
yes,
I'm hoping the aliens come and save us from these and watching.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Pabs. 100% agree with you. So let's
bring the alien overlords. I'm tired, right? Me too. Maybe they can have robots come take over my job at GameStop, and I can start making it into the show on time.
Let's see. We have where are we at? Tuesday. Let's go to Tuesday.
Imagine what kind of video games they have.
I mean, they got
Probably
some good
better
stuff.
than what we got.
We have Christopher K. Mellon. Everybody remembers Chris Mellon, right? The U.S. Air Force really has some explaining to do when it comes to UAP. People who are surprised at the presence of these objects haven't been paying attention. One of the reasons why I've been calling for changes to our sensors and reporting procedures for years.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Even if it's not, some kind of ET craft that they're doing. Yes, well, you are correct. Vulcans or Klingons would be a concern. So would the Ori from Stargate, if we shall go there.
And this one, Adam, that was actually like something that a lot of people thought.
Yep.
And I mean, it's I don't guess it's necessarily off the table.
No, it's not. Nothing's off the table. This show. Nothing's off the table.
It's one of those things where, because I remember me and Ron actually had this conversation that maybe this was a thing that would like keep us from getting killed if the aliens showed up. Remember that?
Yeah. We had multiple conversations. We have these classified briefings that we don't talk about as well, and it's probably just as good because some of them are quite scary.
They are,
and I don't want to be the father of a new conspiracy theory because God knows we have enough.
I do. New report came out this evening that one of those items shot down was a $500 amateur radio balloon. One is one supposed explanation.
I'm going to have to definitely look into that. We're going to have to find more on that. Maybe possible. I mean, who knows? Because, there are amateur balloons. We cannot rule that out at all, right? Let's see. Next up.
Hope it's not the Ori.
Yeah. Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. The people know about the Ori. If they don't, they need to. You need to watch Stargate.
I said, I meant, what is the aliens' intentions? I'm going to get a better life or enslaved. I mean, if you listen to the tales of some people, then they need us for breeding. So could that be all that bad?
I mean, can the aliens at least be hot?
That was the
screen images.
Futurama?
I don't care what they look
Futurama.
like. Give me a screen image of something hot.
Joe wants snoo.
Let's go.
Remember that movie Species from the 90s?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Something like that.
Species. I remember that.
This is terrible.
I remember that movie.
This is why they don't talk to
that
us.
movie.
This is why they don't reveal themselves.
I clearly remember that movie being one of the first times in life that I had very, very unpure thoughts.
Okay. All right then. Challenge, I guess, is out there. Any extraterrestrial ladies or whatever you are.
Remember the TV series V? Yes. She was attractive.
No, it's not what Dewey's talking about. Dewey's not talking about freaking Diana. He's talking about what, reptilian, invaders that look human. Gosh, gee, never mind. Anyway, it's Tuesday. It's not, but it's Tuesday.
This is a good one. Duck Dollars, you do understand that just a simple member of an intergalactic society could vaporize our planet from the comfort of his man cave. No, you are dead accurate.
Absolutely.
I would believe that. Absolutely.
Yes, 100%. And if they wanted to, they could have.
And then Dave shared the link. I don't know how that translates over on this side, but I'm sure you guys in the comments can click that link and go check that out. Just bring it up in another window on your browser. That way you can check it out while we're going here.
Let's see. So anyway, senators received a classified briefing on Tuesday. It was delivered by officials from the Defense Department, NORAD, and the United States Northern Command, as well as the Office for the Director of National Intelligence. Speaking to the media, following the briefing, Louisiana Senator John Kennedy said officials had so far been unable to locate the remnants of the 3 unidentified objects, excluding the spy balloon. It's clear to me, he said, This is not a recent phenomenon. He told reporters, saying this has been going on since 2017. Actually, you know what? I'll do you one better, because I'm not going to read that. I'm going to let you hear what Senator Kennedy said and watch it very closely when we get to the end of this. And here's how that little speech began.
Many people, intentionally or otherwise, have been given the impression that a couple of weeks ago our skies were clear. And then all of a sudden we have spy balloons and other unidentified flying objects raining down on us like confetti. That is not accurate.
You heard him. That is not accurate.
Yeah.
Okay? It's very important, as we're listening to Senator Kennedy here, to listen to what the man says, watch his facial expressions, and you're going to kind of see he's not allowed to say too much. Remember, he just had a classified briefing, right?
Yeah.
So he's under oath. He's not going to break that.
But he also has an obligation to the people who are his constituents to be forthcoming and truthful.
Yeah. So it's not true, basically, is what he just said, that this isn't new, guys. And this is what we have been saying for, since day one. This is not new.
These objects have been flying over us for years, many years. We've known about those objects for many years. We're not sure that we've known about all of them, but we've known about many of them. Except for the Chinese spy balloon, we don't know what they are. What's different about the last 2 weeks is that we've started shooting them down.
Yeah, that is significant, isn't it? So what happened within the last 2 weeks to cause them to be shot down? Well, we have our theories, and one of those theories may be that, like we turned up the sensors. We were on heightened alert because of that Chinese spy balloon, right? So that's theoretically possible. Notice what he said.
Not just necessarily heightened alert. We were in a position globally where we had to do something. And if we didn't, it shows a weakness in an air superiority from our operational standpoint. And it makes sense that they would start targeting things as soon as that balloon was brought down, that other objects were going to be targeted and brought down, especially ones that would be deemed as having minimal hazard as ground effects. So it was more of I think one of the reasons, just me, my personal opinion, part of the reason why we started bringing them down was to save face.
Well, that's very possible. Very possible.
Like just the Occam's razor explanation on this one for me.
Yeah, that's possible and strategic. So
yeah.
However,
it's clear to me this is not a recent phenomenon. The only thing I feel confident saying right now is that.
Wait, what did he say? He said it wasn't a what?
Recent.
It's clear to me this is not a recent phenomenon. The only thing I feel confident saying right now is that if you are confused, you understand the situation perfectly. This has been going on for a long time.
Hold on.
At least 2017. And last week we were told 2019. That's what I took away from it today.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Lock your doors tonight.
What? What? Did you notice the facial expression?
Yo, yeah, that's a oh crap.
That's exactly what that was. That's I want to say so much right here. Did I say too much when I said long time? Oh, it was only 2017, 2019. I didn't mean they were, ancient astronauts. I didn't go there. I'm just saying that's, but why not? It's all on the table.
For a second, when he said 2017, I thought he was going to say 2,000 years.
Right? Like when you're listening to it and you're just listening off the cuff and it goes
Adam.
2017.
Yes, Adam. Yes.
And
Yes.
and this comment right here, this is like,
that was what I had said as soon as I saw that.
yeah.
They don't
'Cause-
use locks or doors.
Ron sent me a message like immediately.
What?
And it was just that quote, and I was like, I know, I saw it. And then I immediately called him and we had a conversation about it. And one of the things I said was, have they not like watched Unsolved Mysteries at all? Like,
No.
there's not been a single account of an extraterrestrial coming up, opening a door, and then coming into your home. It's always, like you just said, Adam, walks right through the wall.
Unless they're afraid of black-eyed kids.
You're right. Yeah, the black-eyed kids. That's terrifying on its own respect.
Oh, God.
So enters phase 2 of this absolute lunacy. I believe it was Politico who says the most troublesome aspect is what's going on, where are they coming from, who's behind them. Senator Lisa Murkowski, Republican of Alaska, asked on Monday, we get weather balloons, we understand weather balloons, but it's not weather balloons. What are they? Who is sending them? That bothers me. Wait, Senator Murkowski, you just said they're not weather balloons. But we were told they were balloons. None of the 3 objects shot down over the weekend have been recovered. Murkowski said brutally cold conditions in Alaska were hindering the search. While Peters said the lake is deep enough to make finding anything extremely complex. That's the one in Huron. Even as Biden administration rolled out aliens, that's not slowing down the pace of lawmakers' questions.
Pat says, I'm with Joe on this. The military is trying to save face. They missed the spy balloon until it was too late to shoot it. And I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with exactly that.
Earlier today, I believe they actually said they were tracking it as soon as it launched from what they're saying.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, you just said last week you never even knew it was here. Like,
right?
Which is it?
So, like, if you were tracking it from the minute it launched, then why was it all of a sudden a big surprise?
Well, from the New York Sun, still trying to play down the aliens. What we got there, dude?
Deuster says the United States government has detected and is tracking a high-altitude surveillance balloon that is over the continental United States right now. The balloon is currently traveling at an altitude well above commercial air traffic and does not present a military or physical threat to the people on the ground. So this is like right now, Deuster?
Yep, right now.
Wow.
And again,
same thing happened here, Spook. Same thing happened here.
Saw the mess and left.
They tried to walk into my house, saw the mess, and left.
Yeah,
They heard my kids screaming and they left immediately.
Good point there. So the New York Sun, still trying to, do a little damage control here, following the classified Senate briefing on Tuesday, the one that freaked out, Senator Kennedy. Yeah. Most senators involved said that the recent string of objects shot out of the sky over America did not represent an immediate threat, but that the White House needed to be more transparent nonetheless. And there is no evidence of an imminent alien invasion or imminent invasion by extraterrestrials, etc. The meeting was second recent briefing relating to the situation after hearing of the February 9th Chinese surveillance balloon. So basically, yeah, they said it's not aliens, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was Tuesday, if I'm not wrong. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, that was all still under the 214.
Okay, well, here we go then. So on 215, I'm telling you, you're going to get whiplash. You swear you're going to get whiplash. On Wednesday, 215, Newsweek reports after the senator does his lock the doors thing. Here's this: White House weighs the possibility of Biden addressing UFOs, not balloons, UFOs. UFOs, guys.
That took a quick turn real fast. It was the opposite of Roswell.
It's been the opposite of Roswell, and it's been going up and down. But look, here's what I'm trying to tell you. They're announcing a new initiative, right? Isn't that what they're calling for?
That is what everybody's calling for. Whether or not they're going to get it,
I believe that's what they're calling for anyway. But look, guys, we have those. And here's one of them. Look, this was from 2021. I don't know if anyone has a time machine and, or just internet, go back and look. I would think that these government officials would have more than that. They're the ones who wrote these things, but they already did this. And they determined that out of 144 UFO/UAP incidents looked at, only one was explained away. All the others were unexplained. This was the first report back in 2021. They also said that UAP probably lack a single explanation. Seeing that play out. UAP clearly pose a safety of flight issue and may pose a challenge to U.S. national security. Have they really, though? I mean, other than us blowing them out of the sky? I mean, I think the only thing dangerous up there flying around would be the missiles that are firing at these things. They're not likely foreign adversarial assets, and that more data was, of course, required. There's the executive summary. Notice what is highlighted right there. This increased reporting allows more opportunities to apply rigorous analysis. And what's that say, Joe? Can you read that for me?
1 second. I got to make the screen big. All right. This increased reporting allows for more opportunity to apply rigorous analysis and resolve events.
That's the word I was looking for. Resolve events. So this is what the UAP task force was really seeking to do, to resolve the events. So is the resolution of the events what we have been witnessing? Is the final
shoot them down?
Right? Is that the resolve? Is that how you stop it?
Maybe that's how we are able to figure out if they're man-made or not. Can we
That's how
stop?
we do it in America.
So here's what they proposed after the UAP task force. Can you guys see that? Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Raise your hand if you're confused with me. Give me some little thumbs up or something if you're with us and you're confused at this point, because if you're not, we're doing something wrong. The Senate Intelligence Committee criticizes the Pentagon as UFOs exponentially increase, whilst making clear that new office will not investigate man-made objects. Right there. Can you see it? Can you read it? What's it say AARO was originally supposed to do, Joe?
AARO was established as the UAPTF successor entity on 20 July 2022. Per its mandate, AARO has the authority to coordinate UAP efforts beyond DoD and is authorized to develop processes and procedures to synchronize and standardize collection, reporting, and analysis throughout not just the DoD, but the IC as well. With the support and coordination of NIM Aviation, AARO will coordinate with other non-IC agencies such as the FAA, NASA, NOAA, and the non-IC elements of the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Energy as appropriate. The broad scope of authority granted to AARO should enable them to leverage a multi-agency, whole-of-government approach to understanding, resolving, and attributing UAP in the future.
Resolving again, huh?
Yeah.
And they had all that knowledge, all that power, right? And yet they don't know what this was? I don't buy it. Resolve with a Sidewinder missile. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, as Bill Hicks said, send over the B-12, Johnny. Situation resolved.
That's pretty much it.
Heck, one excuse for Roswell was hilariously a weather balloon. It was. That was
Dave.
the big thing. It was a weather balloon.
Yes, absolutely. This was just the formation of AARO. These are all. I'm going to put all these up eventually on a post for you guys. You can go over them and try to keep track of it all yourself. But basically, what I'm showing here is the fact that we have had and currently do have a task force to look into these things.
Yeah. Like it is already existing. That's why I was saying that I don't think they're going to get what they're requesting, because it's a duplicate entity of what's already been established. Like, why would you have a
well, because there are those who believe that AARO was originally set up to do one thing, but they decided to do something else entirely, which was ignore everything. So it kind of seems like that's a possibility. I found it also interesting that this little part right here. Can you guys see that? The group would need to be established no later than 180 days after the enactment of the bill, which could be translated as a way of Congress taking control, providing targets which must be met by the UAP office, currently known as AARO. 180 days after the bill went into effect, or within 180 days. I believe we're in that window.
Well, when was the bill put into, what was the date?
Very recently. It's let me find it. This is the one that just passed not too long ago. The whistleblower legislation and all that, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that one.
Yeah, I mean, we're still inside that window. The agency would still have time to be generated, and they're probably, knowing the government and being a federal employee in the past, they are going to wait till the absolute last minute.
Oh, wow. Of course they would. I mean, that's how it works. But yeah, so that's where we sit. And today, of course, we heard that, we've heard that they're going to possibly brief us later, I believe, or the White House is looking to brief later on the possibilities of,
That's true, Pat. The problem is AARO is not headed up by Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith.
That's correct.
Because they do know how to handle these things.
That's right. That's exactly how you do it. And there's today's headline, of course. Biden plans to speech on balloons, unidentified objects and sources, which I don't think it'll probably happen. I'll be honest with you.
I mean, I just want it to happen just because I want the comment gold.
Oh, it's going to be good.
I want to
here is what they are assuming, right? So Biden has asked National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan to preside over a task force of related agencies to come up with guidelines on how to address unidentified objects in the future. It is supposed to come up with guidelines this week on what circumstances should be considered before shooting down an unidentified, I'm going to put flying there because it is obviously flying, an unidentified flying object, i.e. UFO. They want guidelines set into place to know when to shoot down a UFO.
New Congress, new priorities might explain the change. It's a
good point too, bud.
That's a good point. Another comparison, World War II versus the situation in Ukraine. We as a world are so close and on the verge of a major war like World War II. Sightings went off the charts. It's true. That's when our Foo Fighters first started showing up. Now activity is picking up yet again, though it's picking up over the past several years. I find that all interesting.
Yeah, there's always this increase usually, and that's also attributed to the belief later on that these were weapons being tested and so forth over other soils, foreign soils and whatnot, like the Foo Fighters. But of course,
that comment right there.
Oh,
yes, my friend, absolutely, Ty. That's what I want to know as well. I don't know why we can't do that. I would assume that we could. I mean, and I would also assume this. And I said this to you guys. If it is, because we're getting ready to move into the fun stuff now, okay?
Yeah,
we're getting ready to move into the fun stuff. So you thought the game was fun, but it's really getting ready.
This is going to be a little bit longer than usual live session, guys.
Oh yeah, they're going to love
it. Guess what, guys? That Reuters headline that says Biden is going to address UFOs. Well, 4 minutes ago they changed it. It says Biden says he will speak to China's Xi about balloon incident.
Oh yeah,
That's what it says now.
So,
yeah. Because apparently, what we have heard is okay.
follow us for predictions in real time U.S. politics.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Apparently, what has happened is what we've pretty much guessed was a possibility, and we addressed that on the show when you said, "Hey, let's just give them a benefit of a doubt." Apparently, they're saying this thing did blow off course majorly. We went crazy, shot it down, and then turned up all of our sensors looking for more of these things for political reasons, no doubt in my mind. And instead, we found something else. And it seems that some of the something else that we found are kind of worrying people a little bit. That's what it seems like to me. But mostly them, not us.
Pat says, what tech would we use to capture a UFO while in flight?
I would say we'd have to jam it with something that...
Yep, make it crash.
Yeah.
A really big net.
Yeah, the really Acme. One that says Acme on the side. Now, jamming it, I think making it crash, that's probably going to be the only real way to capture one, because when we hit it with a missile, they tend to go boom.
Oh, yeah.
Because the missiles that they're being shot, they don't have a small payload.
Could you maybe knock it out of the sky using like some kind of sound technology? Like with force, just knock it out?
Depends on what's driving or like what the force is behind it. Duck says a missile, a net, and a parachute. A large jet, basically what dudes are saying here, a large jet-mounted butterfly net. I'm behind this idea.
Hey, I mean, why not? At least you guys are thinking about something. I mean,
It's
these
doing
guys
more than what they're doing up in
they're
the
getting,
hill.
and they're getting paid for it. You're doing it for free. Stop it, because they're going to read
Now,
that and probably take your ideas.
This right here, unarmed missiles. I mean, that's kind of. I think that's kind of on track with where at least I was kind of going with just knocking them out of the air, jamming them, or literally swatting them out of the sky.
Yeah, I think that's probably accurate as well.
The best we can come to capturing UAP is from donation sites like Trinity, described by Jacques Vallée.
Donation sites. And what you just said, Adam, that is a very good point. Donation. I want to talk about that because we are in the scenarios and possibilities phase. And I told you guys that there's no way, if this is ET, if it's extra dimensional or extraterrestrial, if it's them, there's no way they're going to let us shoot it down.
No.
There's no possible way. And I also called the fact that if it was, one way we'd find out is if there was absolutely no wreckage found.
Yep.
Because I told you also, I don't think that we hit anything other than a balloon. I think those things blew apart.
Well, yeah, the one up in the Yukon was described as shattering.
Mm-hmm. But I think that was its possible defense mechanism, or again, that is for us. And it's really interesting because I'm going to put it up later, but there's a video that we did, you and me, when we were at Flatwoods back in 2021. And we were asked about, why after so long had they started to, open the floodgates of information at the time, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my response was something like, well, and I've said it on the podcast a few times, what if the decision isn't in our hands anymore? What if the decision has been in someone else's hands at this point? And that, we know that there's two sides in the government at this point. There's a side that's wanting to say something. There's another one that's pushing back. We see that with these headlines.
Isn't that what Valiant Thor was basically telling us?
Pretty much.
Yeah, the legend basically says, to get yourself straight, and we'll talk to you. If not, you're probably just going to kill yourselves. But, there we are. But what I'm getting at is I think that there's a possibility that, it's kind of like the Daily Earth stood still scenario, Brandon. That's exactly what it is. And I think the decision's not ours anymore. That's kind of it. And what better way to force the populace to accept anything than to take it out of those hands of the people who are trying to obscure it?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I'm just saying that's part of the one of my theories anyway on the whole thing. For right or wrong, it doesn't matter.
Cigarette smoking man.
There you
There
go.
you go.
There you go. So there's a lot of scenarios, right?
Yeah.
We've heard psyops. We've heard possible aliens. We've heard so many things. And there was actually an article, just to tell you how crazy it's gotten. There was actually an article about what was it? It was a few days ago, and I didn't get the screen capture on it because I missed it. Apparently, in the hundreds of other screen captures I got, where they actually brought up a very controversial, yes, a very controversial conspiracy theory, an idea that's been thrown around. Everyone's seen it. It goes right along with HARP. You know, it's one of those kind of things. And we tackled HARP. We tackled HARP pretty good, I thought. So instead of going into it in depth and in this full deep study that it deserves, they mentioned Bluebeam. And I know there's everybody under the sun here who has already seen these and thinks you know what it is. And some of you might, but I guarantee you most of you don't.
At least not what it really.
I've said it for years. Anyone who's watched the podcast knows that I've said that, years ago I saw an article and it mentioned this project, this DARPA defense project, and how it was a concept, and that's all I ever found about it. Well, not what was it, about 3 days ago? Is that what it was when I found the information? Yeah, so like 3 days ago. Oh wait, I did find it, guys. Check it out. There it is. Check it out. It actually made one of the headlines. That's an actual headline. And look, there's another one. So it made more than one headline. It made two. And those aren't conspiracy sites, just to let you know. Right. I mean, that's a star. If one could say
one could argue the star.
It's kind of a conspiracy site, but it's actually a pretty good article.
Was that article written by Bat Boy?
It was not.
I like the article on the side that says they found the Oak Island treasure.
Well, that's classified and top secret because if they ever mention it,
treasure, it was the Oak Island TV show. That show has made so much money, it's unreal.
If they ever mention, finding the treasure, the show's over. Everybody's going home.
It's like finding Bigfoot.
Yeah, exactly. So here's where it came from. I managed to track it down finally. This is the fellow who gave you all the great theory of Project Bluebeam, and his name was Monstat, Sergei Monstat. He was a
your reading of Cyrillics is fantastic.
Thank you very much. He was a journalist, actually, Canadian journalist. There's a full story about the man. We'll actually put that up later on in an actual article on our own because I do want to tackle this in depth. But basically, he was a conspiracy theorist. That's what it comes down to. And he got a hold of some very interesting information being a journalist.
Yeah.
And let me see if I can find that. Where is it at? Where is that page? Here we go. Yes. It was sometime around the middle of the Gulf or the beginning of the Gulf War. Yeah. To frighten you, Adam.
That's great.
Okay, so the blue beam theory traces its roots back to the early Gulf War, and it was shortly after the invasion of Kuwait. Some rather sci-fi sounding plans were thrown around the government think tanks. And one such plan was the proposed creation of a system of giant mirrors and projectors to project a giant deity over the battlefield to
Now,
frighten troops and cause mass chaos.
Let's pause right here.
Yeah.
Because on the face of all that, that is how holograms work. But behind the scenes, the words giant mirror isn't figurative at all in this case. It is very, very literal.
Oh, yeah. Giant mirror.
What was it? 3 miles, 3 square miles?
No, it's 1 square mile.
1 square mile.
One square
so
mile.
you would need a mirror 1 square mile. And then the projectors to be able to power this thing.
Oh, yeah. And the power for those projectors.
And the power.
And those have to be in space, I believe, if I am correct.
Well,
So,
to
lot of
produce a
power.
hologram properly, you would need one on the ground, one in space, and
Lot of
then
power.
a thing in space shooting the hologram.
now you're just creating conspiracy theories. Be quiet. So
Right.
anyway, one such plan was produced to make the giant deity over the battlefield. And it was to frighten the troops and cause mass chaos and an uprising. In an article from the Washington Post from 1999, the plan is outlined along with several other proposals, which are very much the fuel of several modern conspiracy theories, as well as the basis of modern AI technology, believe it or not. Some of the things that they actually were working on did find their way definitely into the world, such as deep fake technology, creating morphing technology. You know what morphing is? Remember, it was all over the place for a while. Well, that was a big deal apparently, and they were taking it very serious back in the 90s.
We're gonna pause.
Pause.
This is a gym. I'm not quite frightened, just somewhat confused and aroused. Watches Sky Daddy Matt McConaughey watching me, watching you.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Terrifying, like I said. So
then Pat brings up a really good
Go ahead.
point. How can you manipulate a 1 square mile mirror?
oh, you can't, but that's okay.
Wow,
That doesn't
power.
matter. That doesn't matter.
Deuster says, we have been visited by UFOs since biblical times and several encounters actually recorded in the Bible. Yep. There are.
No argument there, my friend. None at all. But it hurts other people's ideas and their brains, apparently. And most of them are
Books of
senators.
Enoch episode will be fun.
Oh,
All right,
absolutely.
so play.
So, all right. So, what if the U.S. projected a holographic image of Allah floating over the battlefield over Baghdad, urging the Iraqi people and army to rise up against Saddam? A senior Air Force officer asked in 1990. According to a
Hold on one
military,
They want to project a picture of Allah,
Yeah.
but nobody knows what his face looks like.
yeah, that was part of their
That,
problem.
that
Be
was
like a
part of
face
the
guy
gripe
in
here.
the
That's
sky,
one of
like-
the reasons it didn't happen. Yes, you're right. But according to a military physicist, given the task of actually looking into the hologram idea, they looked into this. That's what I told you guys. That was in the article I read. They looked into this. But it's also important to remember, these are the people who looked into blowing the moon up. Okay? That's a real thing.
Yeah.
They looked into blowing
Apartment
the
ran by
moon up.
Wile E. Coyote.
The Van Allen belts. They were going to destroy the Van Allen belts. There's so much crazy stuff that these people theorize. You have no idea, and it's probably best you don't. But they really did want to do this. So this guy, his job was to look into the feasibility of making this thing. So he figures out, well, okay, given the task, the feasibility had been established of projecting a large three-dimensional object that appeared to float in the air. But doing so over the skies of Iraq. To project such a hologram over Baghdad on the order of several hundred feet, they calculated would take a mirror more than a mile square in space, as well as a huge projection system and power source. The Gulf War hologram story could be dismissed were it not for the case that Washington Post had learned that a super secret program was established in 1994 to pursue the very technology for the PSYOPs application. It was called the Holographic Projector. It is described in a classified Air Force document as a system to project information power from space for special operations deception missions.
So it was looked into.
It was looked into. It was looked into, and they really wanted to do this thing, apparently. But this guy who got a hold of this story, well, he went all out. He went pretty much out there and came up with his own idea of how this thing was going to be used in a nefarious way. And there's how it starts with him. This is his Sergei Monstat's idea in 1990 when he claimed that this technology will be used to simulate the second coming. Now, we don't typically talk about this kind of stuff, but I feel it's important here because it's being talked about.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that people understand where this came from. Because there's a lot of people who believe it. And it sounds believable. I mean,
Well,
look
thing
around.
is,
Look around.
well, it's believable because they actually tried.
Right.
Like they looked into it. They were
They looked
testing
into
this
it.
technology. They were trying to see the feasibility of
Right.
it. Would it work?
Right.
And then opted because of practicality to.
And there's better ways to control minds now. Let's be real. I mean, we have the internet.
Yep.
Bingo. Exactly, Joe. And I
So-
really do think that that's where a lot of it went. I really do.
with
Go ahead.
with
Are
the
you there?
the whole thing here is we're dealing with this Project Bluebeam, and the whole point in doing so, he asserted, was that they would eliminate all traditional religions, including Christianity, to make a way for one world religion or the true religion, as well as to abolish national pride, national identities, family, and as family as we know it today, paving an easier path to bring about a new world order. We've had all this kind of stuff around for a long time. The New World Order terminology and the New World Order phrases, they're not new, but
No.
this New World Order will use this technology to brainwash people into thinking the alien invasion is hostile in order to keep them in fear and more easily controlled by their new dictators. A satanic force will then reveal itself worldwide as being inescapable, with the Antichrist coming forward to rule over all.
Yep. So basically, aliens, Antichrist, it's all fake. And, that's what these people believe.
Right.
Now, I'm not going to tell you what to believe and what not to believe. I'm only going to give you the facts. And the facts of the matter is that the man who said all these things was following some very sketchy, questionable other conspiracy theories.
Yes.
One might even say that some of those conspiracy theories were very, very anti-Semitic, wouldn't they?
Oh, yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Wouldn't they?
that's putting it mildly.
Yeah. And they reached out, man, into a lot of different areas that they spread. They were first just into the whole, government conspiracy type thing, but
Right.
then they got absorbed. They got absorbed into the whole UFO field. They got absorbed into religion, didn't they, Joe?
Right. They did. And particularly if you go into Facebook right now and you go to any of the UFO groups and you just go back, I don't know, the last 3 years, every post made, you're going to see some mention somewhere in the comments, blue beam. Everybody rattling off blue beam, ain't got a clue what they're saying, but they've heard it somewhere, holograms, invasion, New World Order, all that good stuff, right? Then, God help them, into the church. Pat Robertson is to blame for the breach into this whole mindset and this terrible theology breaching and making its way into the mostly into the Protestant and charismatic churches. Now, anybody listening, if you've been listening to us for any amount of time, you guys know that I used to be a pastor. And as of late, I have been seeing a lot of people that I went to church with who are spouting off all this stuff. The New World Order, that's the book that started it all. He sold bajillions and plated his private jet in gold with that book. And the problem with this, first and foremost, is most of the people who are coming from the religious angle, they have no idea what they're really talking about. They just hear this possible invasion and they hear that this is going to be a deception, and then they start linking deception. Oh, and they go, deceiver, Satan, and then they start running with it. This is suddenly like new gospel. And the bad part is it's nowhere in the scriptures at all, not even extracurricular. Okay. And it's one of those things where I've had to talk to some of these people over the past. I've had just over the last couple of days, even where I've commented on some of their posts, and they just get downright hostile because you're challenging their. It's almost like you're challenging their religion at this point.
Like you offend them.
Yeah, but I just simply asked them, show me where canonically that this is a thing, and they can't, of course, because it's not there. But like, there's a lot of people of faith who are very scared. And because of that fear, they're allowing their fear to dictate their behavior, dictate what they're taking in and what they're seeing. And then reflecting this really, really bad impression out. I mean, maybe it's the impression that they've had the entire time. And it's just, this is what it took to burst their bubble, and now the crazy spilling out. But the thing is, this is not any part of even fundamental religion, fundamental belief. It's not part of any kind of extra canonical text. It's just not there. There's no substance for it. But you've got people like Pat Robertson. You've got people like these, not some of these other televangelists who are out there selling their tears for $50, and they're trying to like manipulate people, and that's terrifying because power from the pulpit used to manipulate the congregation, used to manipulate people at large, is one of the most egregious things that could take place within any organized religion, not just Christianity, but any organized religion. Because that's not our goal as leaders. That's not what we're called to do as leaders within said religion. We're to help direct, to help guide, to show the truth, to not to go and speculate, but to show love, peace, all that good stuff. And not this at all. Like, it's really troubling, honestly. And I'm trying to find the best ways to say this stuff in the most peaceful way possible. Publicly.
I think you've done a great job. This is better than how you usually say it. I know, right? It's really very hurtful. It's hurtful to the image of intellectual people that I know are actually very smart individuals who are within the church who spout off this nonsense, and people who are otherwise very caring individuals. But when they start being confronted about this kind of stuff, and it's literally information that they just learned 2 weeks ago off reading the post on Facebook, but they will defend it vehemently to the very end. It's so damning and so damaging that it just hurts. Like, it hurts to read some of it, man. Yeah. Especially people who I used to pastor. Like, I've seen some of the people that I used to pastor who I've had to like reach out and just grab and shake them almost violently. I'm like, what are you doing? Do you even realize what you're saying? No, it's not even what they're saying. Like they're following a philosophy started by someone. These people were, I mean, I won't say they're Nazis, but I'm going to say that it's almost like that. It would
Right.
be almost the equivalent of that. It's like, why are you following someone who came up with, that kind of stuff, who believed the way that they believed? I mean, some of the stuff they believed was very, very, like I said, anti-Semitic. It was just like, it was used to really attack and belittle a certain group of people. And anytime you have that, you've got someone trying to lord over someone. To me, that's no better than what they're saying that they're trying to prevent. Also, they're making billions of dollars off of fear.
They are.
Well, according to them, it's the evil capitalists that they're against. Yet they're buying gold-plated planes.
Practically, that.
No, for real. This is what I'm getting at. It's just like, this makes no sense to me at all. And I know it sounds good. I know it does. And you think that these people will have your best interest at heart when they share these kind of things, but they honestly didn't read it. And the recent spat of the whole Bluebeam thing, guys, just to let you know where it kind of got its revival. It kind of got its revival right there. And this was in 2021. It was a Russian video that came out in 2021, and it just rekindled this whole thing about the whole Bluebeam thing. And what's really interesting, you see that little Star Trek thing up there? I think it's very interesting to note that also, other than just the government document that the guy found who wrote the book, right? There was an episode of The Next Generation, which aired just a few years before he wrote that book, that dealt with a premise of something like that as well. And it's fascinating. It's really fascinating. But he really crafted this, and he crafted it to create fear. He crafted it just for that purpose. And he won.
Yeah. And I mean, it came up, and it's what gave us this whole theology that got created out of practically nowhere, that the extraterrestrials
not that the extraterrestrials are demons,
are fallen angels,
but more so that there would be a fake invasion,
right? That there would be a fake invasion, but then the extraterrestrials that would show up would be fallen angels,
right.
And it just hurts my brain.
We're in speculation land, Joe.
You're a pastor. I know we're in speculation land, but
you're a pastor. So I'm going to ask you a question.
That usually followed up with them saying that the fallen angels are going to take their Bibles and their guns and whatnot from them?
Probably.
They're going to brainwash. It's basically going to be the beginning of the tribulation, whatever, and it's going to become illegal to be a Christian. Well, I mean, all that stuff is said in the book of Revelation, but not that way. And not even like in a figurative way. Does that even make sense?
Well, aside from, I think we're just going to
ask.
We're just going to take that's all we're going to say about Bluebeam. It's done. Okay. As far as I'm concerned, it's done. If you guys want to believe it, that's wonderful. Go ahead. But I suggest you really, really research it rather than just take a meme and run with that.
So you're saying that we beat the squatch out of it?
Well, feasible? Is it feasible? It's totally feasible.
Russian video saying misinformation for national elections? No, never.
Good man.
They play both sides of the fence. Why would they stop there?
They always forget.
Let's play the alien.
Propaganda has never stopped. Joe, while we're in speculation land, we're over here on this topic. I'm going to ask you a question that I know that people have asked. They've asked multiple times. Oh, and check the questions first to make sure.
I did. I went over and just.
Okay,
I just
good.
did.
Okay, good. So, if we assume that, let's take a religious standpoint on this. Why not? Everything's on the table. If we assume that these may be so-called fallen angels, does that necessarily mean that all of them are fallen angels?
Well, I mean, you got to look at it this way. You think that fallen angels are extraterrestrials, and that means by proxy, aliens are angels. Like regular old angels, not just fallen angels. And then based off of lineage and by family relation alone, that would kind of make Jesus an alien. And if that's the direction you're going, I mean, you better get okay with a whole lot of stuff real fast, because it's
Right.
and there's okay. So there are scriptures that reference, you are in the world, not of it, right? And another scripture says that this is not our home. It does sound very alien. I in fact used to have a shirt that I wore when I was young. Literally said, "I'm an alien," and it was it wasn't a bad thing back then, but now, good Lord, you wear that now, people will be like, crucify you or something. But because they only think the fallen angels are the aliens, I guess. But if you believe that fallen angels, or that the aliens are going to be fallen angels or are fallen angels, then by proxy, that means the unfallen angels would be aliens too, which would make God technically an alien and Jesus an alien, and like the whole
Pantheon
of everything alien.
Well, anything outside is technically alien, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, by
I think
English
that's
definition.
the problem. But that's our problem, though, bud. We don't have a word for a lot of these things, and you shouldn't go into. Some people think you shouldn't question spirituality and religion and so forth and so on. I think that there's a lot there that we can look at and possibly find answers to.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack, especially
Yes.
when you start looking at Daniel and Ezekiel and Elijah, and the fact that the second coming of Christ was predicted by John the Revelator on the island of Patmos, that he saw in a vision that the sky would split and that Christ would descend on the clouds, or come riding on the literal reading of the Greek says riding on the clouds.
Okay.
So, like, maybe like you can't read some of these things, and like, if you because I'm real big on words. I'm real big, especially with the Bible and translation and whatnot. I'm really big on doing word studies and understanding the language that was spoken, the way the language was spoken, and what the words meant at that time, because they mean different things today. As time goes on, things change, wordings change, slang becomes formal, and then new slang's created. Other words are adapted to mean new things. So you got to keep up with it. You got to go back and do a history lesson as well on these things. And with this riding on the clouds portion, like riding on the clouds. I mean,
what are you gonna say about
word,
that? What's
the exact same word used, like that was meant for like piloting a chariot.
Okay.
So just to put that in perspective, like they used the exact same word when they were referencing the arena and the chariot races in the arena.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
If you were talking about Ron, the chariot driver, and he was doing an action, riding on the chariot, that was the same word that was used to convey what John was seeing. That's the word he used, riding on the clouds.
Yeah.
If you want to get into interpretation land, to me, a lot of the stuff in the book of Revelation sounds a lot like somebody trying to describe things that they don't understand.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like your grandma trying to tell you what's wrong with her tablet.
Yeah, I get you. I know what you're
It's really
saying.
hard to say what it actually means.
Right. And, I think, like Georgie always says, it's misinterpreted technology and so forth. And it makes sense. It really does make sense. So basically what we're saying is you don't really have a problem with that being an actual possibility, do you? I mean, that we are dealing with something that may eventually be what those beings, so-called mythological beings or biblical beings, were labeled as. Like, does it change your view on religion to the point to where you're just like, riding in the street? That's what I'm asking.
Not me.
No.
Me either. And I don't think it would change a lot of them. But yet that is one of the problems. That is one of the reasons why some of these people believe that they're holding this information back, that people would go crazy when, religions would fall, society would collapse. I don't think so. Not anymore.
From an outside look, I can see what Pat's saying, that aliens and fallen angels are just manifestations of the dangerous other for a lot of people. Yeah.
Yep.
It's true, man. Yeah. Archetypes. Okay. Where are we at next with our speculations? We are at political diversion. Could this be a political diversion, guys?
I mean, that's entirely possible.
It could be. Like, I mean, everything's a political diversion these days.
Or used as one, right? Could it be? I think that would be appropriate too. It could be used as one.
It could be used as one. If it's not necessarily right now, I mean, drop of a hat, man, you could shift it.
Yeah. So what are you guys out there thinking? We're in the speculation land. You're more than welcome to be a part of this conversation.
Deucer says, I read a book the other day where the author stated that Adam and Eve were aliens that crashed their spaceship on Earth and the ship became the Garden of Eden. I mean,
that's I like that.
Wait, I've heard that book. Isn't that the book of Scientology?
No.
That was a theory that the what's his name, L. Ron
Hubbard
did attribute and pull to. The tree of knowledge was actually the ship's onboard computer. Deep rabbit hole. Yeah, it very well can get into a deep rabbit hole for that. That's sure. I know there's some elements of the ancient astronaut theory that believe that Adam and Eve could have been, or Adam and Eve were individuals that crash landed here, escaping a disastrous scenario, and then started here.
Yeah. So we agree it could be political diversion. Foreign surveillance platforms, that seems to be a possibility.
I'm waiting for the press secretary to come out and just shake her keys at us like we're 2-year-olds. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Religion
is just a set of ethos, not so much a history lesson. Disregard the political statements.
Oh, you're fine, Adam.
Yeah.
This session is completely devoid of anyone really taking anything personal. This is just theory, conjecture, and addressing some of the stuff that we're seeing on other boards today. And it really doesn't matter to us what anyone believes, like I said, or thinks. We're just presenting data, and then we'll give our take on it at the end, but that shouldn't influence anyone, like I said.
Foreign surveillance platform. I mean, they could be.
Give me a pros and cons for and against foreign surveillance platforms.
They could be. It's one of those things where, we didn't have that filter running until recently, and that they could just be a ton of stuff surveilling us. I mean, God knows we're doing it to everybody else.
Oh yeah.
So
it's a game. Everyone does it. But would it be likely that they had a technology that they came up with somehow that we didn't figure out? I mean, we're sneaky. Let's be real here, guys. Come on.
It's true.
I mean, almost everybody knows everything everyone's doing. Literally, there's nothing secret. We have all these secrets, but yet there's hardly any more secrets left on the planet Earth.
It's true.
Espionage is just an art at this point. Let's see, and I guess the final synopsis, the final
this is actually Patrick brings up a good point. There's been no mention of the Hunter scandal or the train wreck in the past week, other than like digital media. That's it. Nobody's going out talking about it. They even canceled the meeting that was supposed to be tonight up in Ohio. So it was supposed to be a press meeting,
or did they? I thought they rescheduled it for a bigger venue.
No. They
expected
moved
more
it into a gymnasium, but
Mhm.
it's no longer a press event. It's
Oh.
like a
public
town hall.
get together kind of thing.
Yep.
Mhm.
Hey guys, so Biden did give his statement about UFOs a little bit ago,
Oh, okay.
and I just noticed that they turned the comments off on pretty much everything.
Oh man, what? Well, we'll have to follow up with that one, I'm sure.
I'm trying to find a
So,
synopsis.
while Brandon filters through the priceless audio memes that we're going to get from this, let's look at the possibility that this actually could be aliens. Let's take it to that level and be serious about it, and which is something that they're not doing.
So Duck Dodger says, you guys don't view abiogenesis as a roadblock to the existence of alien life. I personally don't, because it could looking at the concept of abiogenesis, it's just looking at life on Earth. Who's to say that the or however you say it, abiogenesis, who's to say that it didn't start elsewhere trillions of years ago?
And that is one of the beliefs of some of the earlier tribes, that we did actually come from a different place, and if it's what it is.
If God is an alien, is it really God? I mean,
it's a word, my friend.
It's a name.
It's a name. It's a word. It's a label. And we get hung up on those, and we've talked about this so many times. And that's one of the problems that I think we have with a lot of this conversation in having it, honestly, is that it offends people, because they hear you and they think you're attacking something. You're not attacking anything. We're actually saying the same thing. We're just saying it in different ways.
Yeah. And this whole thing, like, I can sit comfortably and I can have this conversation with you guys. I can have this conversation with everybody in the comments, and it doesn't affect my faith whatsoever. It doesn't affect,
absolutely not. No,
my place in whatnot, with where I stand on what I truly believe. Because these things, there's plenty of room for a lot of this stuff to exist within those parameters.
I believe so. Yeah. And, if it were aliens, let's say this was aliens. Do I think it would play out the way it did? Do you think it would play out the way it did?
I don't think. I think just like the guy that did the press briefing mentioned, that if this was a manned alien craft or an unmanned alien craft, it'd been just like all the rest. We'd never caught them.
Mm-hmm. So what we really have,
unless,
go ahead.
Unless it's something poking the bear,
right? And that's a very, if you want to go to the lock your doors scenario.
Yeah, Travis Taylor is the one who's always used that. You're poking the bear, poking the bear. We're poking the bear. What if this is them poking the bear? What if this, because for example, Kennedy mentioned that we've known about a lot of them, but then there's some new ones.
Right.
We don't know these new ones.
There's some new ones.
What if these new ones are less advanced? What if these new ones are just showing up here and they're like, okay, let's see what these guys can do. So they throw out some dummies. They throw out bait. Did we take the bait?
Yeah, right. I mean, we're just assuming when we say, these aliens wouldn't do this or do that. We don't really know. We think that our aliens wouldn't do that. The ones that we've actually had contact with, or that, we think we have, whatever these things were that are down here that people report all the time, we don't think that they would, because they really haven't shown any sign of actual outward hostility. Now, there is one side that does seem to show outward signs of hostility, which also goes into that whole possibility that Ashid was talking about, the whole Galactic Federation thing. And this is interesting to me because
Brandon has some thoughts.
let's hear him, Brandon.
Is Brandon? Are you there, Brandon?
You there? Whoa. Something weird's happened to Brandon. No, that's weird. Oh.
His audio's cut. Can you hear us?
Hang on. Something up. I see his audio's cut.
Shake your head yes for yes.
Can I unmute your mic? His mic is muted.
I can't unmute him either.
I can't unmute him.
Aliens.
Send him a message. Tell him his mic's muted. So could it possibly be that we're dealing with something? I mean, we have to look at that too, right? Like extra dimensional, extraterrestrial. All these things are possible. So when we say alien, it's just another word again for all this massive amount of things that it could be, this infinite possibilities. I think it comes down to the point, hey, there he is. He made it back.
Yeah, I had to listen to it because I couldn't find any type synopsis yet. It was basically a lot of bullcrap.
Sure.
Surprise!
We expected that.
So at the beginning, he said unidentified objects and unidentified aerial objects a few times. He said he gave the okay to shoot them down, even though they didn't know what they were. He says they're still seeking to recover the debris. The agencies within the government are still reporting to him, and they still don't know what they are. He says that so far they believe nothing says they were related to China or any surveillance equipment to any other country yet.
Stop.
He says right now they think they were 3 balloons tied to private companies.
Mm-mm.
Balloons thing again.
No, you don't get that. You can't do that. You can't say it's not tied to any other country and then say it's the balloons again. Who's launching balloons that isn't from a country?
Yep, that's what he said. That's what I got too. That's why I got like a small headache when I was listening to that.
Guys, just for the love of all that is holy, whatever that is to you.
I can't believe that they let
Just
this
think.
man speak.
Just think and try your best to stay up to date with what's going on, because it's
so
really
hard
clear.
to like script it.
Yeah, right. But the whole point being right here is what he just said, and this is it from day one. This is what they've done. They've said it's this, it's that. No, it's not. It's this, it's that. They've pushed back. There's 2 groups here. One group is trying to tell you the truth, and the other group just seems to be coming up against a wall and pushing back. These 2 groups are opposing each other. I don't know what it is, and I don't think they do either.
Deusker says, Ron, where can I get one of those pins you're wearing? Well, we got it when we gave Giorgio some stuff, and he gave us one, and I handed it over to Ron.
And he gave Maria one too. So we actually have 2 of these. He has one, and I have one now.
Oh, there were a couple more things he said that I thought were interesting.
Yes, Ancient Aliens website does have those, I believe.
Oh.
They do, yeah. You can go buy them.
Wait, don't he have his own? Adam, doesn't Giorgio have his own website?
Yeah, he does. Go to hisname.com.
Good luck spelling that.
And the ones on his website are actually a little bit cheaper than the ones on Ancient Alien.
You can actually
If
get
they're
a
still
solid
there.
gold one like Von Daniken wears. That's a cool one.
Yeah.
But so basically what you're telling me there, Brandon, is what we already know, right?
There were a couple more things that I thought were interesting. He says there has not been a sudden increase in these things. He says we're seeing more because of radar increases, and they're going to keep adapting the radar. And then he says they're also going to create new rules about flying unmanned objects in our airspace.
Oh, more new rules. We can't fly
More laws.
drones already. So kids, party balloons are now banned. So every time that you have a helium balloon, you're going to have file a FAA extension to make sure that you can fly that party balloon at your event, just in case it gets away. Joe, we can't have party balloons at Wild and Weird Con or at Wood Booger this year, okay?
All right.
I mean, we could,
Yes,
and we
sir.
could charge a lot extra because it
Yes,
could be
sir.
a really cool air show.
Deusker,
I
are
was
you
saying we
sure?
could charge $6
I'm
for
not
the
sure
air
about that one. I don't think they found anything.
in his head. So there may be a private air show at Wood Booger this year, right?
Oh yeah. It's it might be a private air show because I'm not registering all those balloons.
No, we're not doing that.
Oh, you know something else interesting from that whole video? He never once said aliens, extraterrestrials, or anything not of this world. Basically, did not once say.
That's
that.
not surprising at all.
That's not surprising. They're telling him not to. Don't you even? I guarantee you that was don't do it. Just don't do it. But no, what you said there was just a good example, my friend, of how this works. It's always the same thing. It's always well, it's not this, but it's not that. And then the logic says, then how can it be? It shouldn't even be here. It shouldn't even exist. If it's, I don't care if it's I don't care if it's Elon Musk. Elon Musk is from a country, right? Man,
Yeah, was he from?
Maybe that's why they were trying to
alien?
destroy the moon. They found out that's where he was from.
Is he an alien? I don't know. But if it's not from Earth, i.e., it's from somewhere else. That's my point. I don't. Logic escapes these people. So anyway, I'm not even going to go into the what if it's alien thing at this point because
Right.
I think we already know. If it is, then we better hope that we didn't do something really stupid. That's what it boils down to.
World War One.
Yeah, well, the last one, and at least the last one we would be in,
Right.
as far as that goes. But yeah, so why did they show up all of a sudden? I think we've already established that.
Yeah. They've been here a long
They've
time.
been here a long time. It probably came from a galaxy far away, which is a very good possibility. And I'm just going to leave. This is what we're going to kind of go out on. I'm going to go with the G's word here. Whether or not the objects are extraterrestrial in origin is not the story right now. The real story is the observation that the great majority of the planet would not panic about peaceful ETs saying hi. But its news coverage is a bit antiquated due to a lack of topic education. And boy, isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
But again, we do have to take the possibility. What is it?
I said a good example of that is the WSCZ article about Bigfoot from last week.
Oh yeah, great, exactly. Yeah, that is a beautiful example.
For our thoughts on that, guys,
WCHS.
listen to the podcast.
It was
drop tomorrow.
WCHS did that one, but
Segue.
but yes, the whole point being is, if they are friendly, then wow, we just really said hi the right way,
Right?
didn't we?
That's a bad way to say hi. Like if I come over to your house, knock on your door, don't even get a word out, but you punch me in the face, it's not going to go over well.
And then finally, it's never aliens until it's aliens. That's logic. By the way, it's perfectly okay if it turns out that the 3 downed objects are of terrestrial origin, but as many have incredulously observed, let's imagine that they are of ET origin. What's the first thing we do? We shoot at it. Sadly, not unexpected. That's humans.
If they are private company balloons that they shot down, I would be suing the hell out of the government for shooting down my balloon for no reason.
Yeah.
Oh no, Brandon. They'll shoot them down and probably send them a bill for it.
For the rocket. Here's
$500,000.
Yeah. Here's a $60 million check. You owe me now because, we're the government and we don't do payment plans.
So guys, let's get your very final thoughts on this matter. And I think we're going to alien hands. Yes. Alien hands.
Alien hands.
International symbol. Something you don't do when you're not talking about aliens.
Intergalactic. These are aliens. What is it? I don't know. Let's hit it with a stick, right? I mean, that has been humanity's MO since day one.
Yeah, man.
Well, ancient evangelical theory says they're demons in the sky.
Ancient evangelical.
That hurts me.
Oh my God. All right. So back to that for one last time. If they are, then
guys, I hope you have all
so
enjoyed
be it.
Brandon being on the show because next week we're not so sure.
Yeah, that was some good stuff.
Oh, had we not been lied to all these years about UFOs,
Yes.
the public will be a lot more sad. Oh, you're
Yes.
dude, sir,
Yes.
you are dead
Yes,
on it,
yes,
man.
yes,
Like
You mean lied about everything?
everything. But like starting at 1947, moving forward, if they'd have just been transparent with stuff, I mean,
Yep.
with anything for that matter,
It's
then
too
we wouldn't
hard.
be in the situation we're in. You're 100% right, man.
Yeah, it's hard to go back and say, you know, this is what it is after you've lied for so long, and you know, you've destroyed people's lives.
I mean, MK Ultra.
That's a
should
true
be enough to
statement,
make
Adam.
People not trust the government.
Also true.
Aliens.
Aliens.
Ike, it's been great having you this evening.
Thanks,
Great show,
dude.
guys. Thanks, Deucer. We appreciate it. We love having you here with us every week, hanging out in the comments. It's great talking with you, buddy. Ty says, an alien has been on my aunt's porch for years now. Nothing to be scared of.
Well, do me a favor. Will you please go get that if it's still there? Take it to the shed over at your house, and I will pick it up eventually. I don't want someone to steal that thing, because I know someone's going to eventually.
It's Jesus. Bang. He's going to steal my TV and the meth.
Lock your doors.
Lock your doors, because Jesus definitely didn't walk through a wall one time.
That's what you call ancient Boone County theory.
Adam, we appreciate you being here, Adam. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for listening. We're glad you enjoyed it. This is one of those shows where it's definitely like a interesting show, but like John Kennedy here says, you know, lock your doors, because apparently that's a thing that
I mean, I lock my doors every
Hide your
night.
kids,
I don't know
hide
about
your
you
wife.
guys. I live in Charleston. I lock my doors every night. Back when I lived in Sissonville, I still lock my doors every night. It's just,
And when I lived on the east end of Charleston, that really taught me a lesson about locking doors.
So since we were talking about the religion stuff for a second, I'm comfortable right now talking a little bit right here. What Duck Dodger said, I can conquer the idea of abiogenesis. God created life everywhere, and I'm clearly I'm in agreement with you. But who's to say that it wasn't when God spoke the first word?
I just might have.
Nothing's of self.
No one heard you. No one heard you. He stopped you from talking.
What?
Your voice, it went out completely.
It did?
Started speaking. Yep. Don't say it again.
So
That's the government.
with that idea of abiogenesis and God created life everywhere, I agree 100% clearly. But what if when that first word was spoken, that life did take billions of years to generate, because that first word that was spoken started as an idea. It started as a concept, and then it became fully fleshed out over time. Just a thought, because I'm an old Earth creationist for myself. Just because it's there's substance behind it, but that's just my own personal thoughts behind it. That's why everything we find is like billions of years old and whatnot. But yeah, I think that there's room for abiogenesis in creation, in the idea that that God did create it all, because life started and started moving forward from the time it was spoken, following the will. That's deep. We could say, like, I've preached a sermon on this exact topic before, and I've done it. It was like an hour and a half long sermon. So if you ever want to sit down and talk about that stuff, Duck, I would absolutely love to, because it's actually one of my favorite topics.
You know, it's funny to me is the creation in the book of Genesis reads like a SparkNotes version of the Big Bang Theory.
It absolutely does.
It does.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so.
Thank all of you guys.
much.
We appreciate every one of you. Ken, you better not go to Dallas.
Oh,
You got them for days, man.
Too soon.
Glenn Danzig will have to make a second song about Dallas. Glenn Danzig will be
big
angry about
listener-
that, more angry than normal. I lock
Did
my
any of the
doors every time I
listeners,
go
read the
through them because
declassified
America.
document?
Yep. The day age theory of Genesis for Joe. Yep. That's what Pat said. That would be the evolution argument. God made life from the elements. It didn't form itself. Team America was made 20 years ago. I thought that America just was hang up. Yeah. Well, me and my wife watched that movie not too long ago. Ike, thank you, brother. But the cell theory gets in the way. Yeah. I know where you're coming from there. We need to sit and talk. We'd have fun. That'd be good times. That would be an absolute blast, Duck. It really would be. Sky Daddy McConaughey. That's my big takeaway from this one.
For you, Adam.
Sky Daddy McConaughey.
I threw that up there for you. That's the new theory. So you run with that, okay?
Oh, it's happening.
You can
It's happening.
screenshot that and use it and start your own conspiracy theory. Matthew McConaughey is going to come down in the clouds.
Well, guys, remember, tomorrow a new episode of Wild and Weird Radio drops. Go catch the audio and the video of that. Like it, comment, all that good stuff. We're talking tomorrow about big turtles, the Teenage Mutant Ninja kind.
Actually,
and the butthole stealing kind.
Weird episode.
And remember, you can catch us literally anywhere podcasts are found. We're on all of the carriers out there. You can go tell your Alexa to play Wild and Weird Radio, and it's going to do it.
If you say that real loud, it'll probably do it.
Right, I know. Alexa, play Wild and Weird Radio. When somebody's starting.
That's why technology is scary, kids.
So, if you all have had excitings or any kind of experience you'd like to share, head over to wildandweirdwv.com. Hit the report a sighting tab. You can report that there. We actually got several new sightings in this week. It was awesome. We appreciate everybody you guys who sent something in.
Yeah, we got some good ones.
We read one of them out over on the radio show last week, by the way.
Well, that's coming up, right?
It is. It's going to be out tomorrow. So definitely don't want to miss it. And I think that's it. Thanks for hanging out.
Episode will drop at around noon, something like that. So, yeah, you can go out and give it a listen.
Well, guys, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. It's been a fun show. I got a little bit of a late start, but I know these guys carried it great, and I can't wait to go back and watch the first. Where the heck did you just pull a chicken?
He's magical.
I'm sure you guys can probably hear them in the background, so I figured I'd show them
Did Sky Daddy McConaughey manifest those into your hand?
Man.
Oh, I got another breed. Hang on, I'll show you real quick.
Oh, he's got more. There's more. Nothing beats cute animals, right? Oh, I like that one. He's dark and brooding.
It's a Frenchie.
We'll name that one Batman.
Oh, my Lord.
All right, guys.
That looks
Adam
terrifying.
Good said Alexa
right
just started playing it. Yes. Everybody, thanks for joining. And remember, be careful what you're doing, because Sky Daddy McConaughey is always watching. Stay wild and weird, everybody. And apparently stay pee-pee.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll work.
It's too much. It's too much. Good night, everybody.